already shown you how to strip the rear lights, and this time I'm going to have a look at doing the front lights. Front lights are totally different. As you can see, I've got a used headlight. It's in reasonable condition. The lens is, you know, fairly scratch free, but again, I'll be showing you how to polish that up. There's two ways of doing these headlights. A lot of people put them in the oven to heat up, which breaks the glue down, since this is held in by a glue that's actually affected by heat. So this is what makes it different to the rear lights that we use heat to open these ones up. Or what I like to do is basically use a heat gun. So we're just going to prepare the front light before we start applying any heat. So we'll remove the dust covers and take out all the bulbs. Now again, because you're not actually putting the whole light in the oven, you don't need to necessarily probably really worry about taking everything out. So I mean, that's good enough for what we need to do. And there's 3 screws. I've got screw here, and a screw here. So we're just going to remove those 3 screws. Okay, so that's the 3 screws done, and headlights ready to be heated up. Now, if you notice on the headlight itself, there's little tabs that go around. So there's a tab there. There's a couple here, and there is more on this side. So what you've got to do is, once you've started heating it up, is to make sure these tabs are moved out of the way so the headlight can come apart. I'll find it easier starting on one corner. So I'll start this corner, and it's a case of heat the glue up until it starts to melt, but be careful that you don't start melting the plastic. So let's go. I'm just concentrating on one part at the moment, and you can actually see when the glue starts to melt. You see I've got a nozzle on the heat gun to make sure I direct the heat. Just be careful that you don't melt the plastic tabs, so keep the heat directed away from those. All I'm using is a kitchen knife, obviously an old kitchen knife. And what you want to do is you want to get the knife in and just work your way around. Again, patience is the key on these. So you can see I'm just scraping the glue around, and you can see that's what the glue is like, and it is horrible. It literally forms into a rubber once it cools down, which obviously gives a great seal, but it's not fantastic to take apart. So it's going to continue to heat up. Again, work in the same area that we were before. So I'm not applying a massive amount of heat to it. It's a case of just getting it warmed up to make the glue pliable, to then being able to get the knife in. And there's a plastic tab, so I'm just going to go straight past the plastic tab. And heat again. Just still working around this corner area. And if you've seen the opening of the rear lights, you can see how much difference this is, and how much more work already is involved with doing the front lights. So I'm just going to make sure that the little plastic on this side's popped out, and just try and release the top section of the light away, just to get a point where we can start to work from. So what you can do is around this section, to make sure this plastic's popped out where the clip is, like so, and just make sure you're just releasing the glue around. And as you start to move along, just work your way down the light. The glue's quite pliable for a while after you started heating it, so it doesn't set back to its full strength immediately, which means that you have got a lot of time once you've started to heat it to continue working. The idea is to try and get this top section released. Again, we're just working and reworking the same area over and over again, just to scrape out as much glue as we can before we can then try and pop the section apart. And all I'm doing is bending the light back, making sure this clip is free. And on the other side, just making that clip just come apart. You can see there the light started to open up already. So the good thing is the back of these lights are quite flexible. The lenses are pretty strong, so there's very little worry about snapping anything on these. So I've got fingers on the top just to keep it apart, and I'm just going to continue work down this side. Again, it's a case of just heating it gently as we go and using the knife just to break the seal as we go down the light. Remember to do both sides as you're going along, because if one's clipped on, it'll not come apart. And the front lights are a lot more time consuming than the rear lights, just due to the type of glue. But all I'm doing is heating, scraping, heating and scraping, and just take your time as you move down the light. Again, once you start pulling the back apart, you can see where it starts to stick, and it's those points that you can just go along, switch it over, and just make sure that you release them. Bit of heat. And then again, just pull apart. Now you can see that it's pretty much apart one side. Once it gets to this point where the screw is, it's a bit difficult to pull. So you need to make sure this is heated up pretty well, but not too much. Just continue pulling apart, working both sides, making sure all the clips are off on both sides as you go. See, eventually it'll get to the point where it will just give. And then once you get down the bottom corner, it should just pop apart. Like so. So there we go. There's the lens off, and there's the body. So we take a look at the body itself. All the tabs are intact. So we'll be using them once we reseal to make sure it's sealed properly. And what I do is where the old glue is in there, in this channel, is to scrape out all the old glue all the way around. Make sure it's nice and clean. And for the lens, exactly the same. You've got residue of the old glue all the way around, so all that's cleaned off. And what I'm going to do is show you now just for the insert. So I normally paint the plastic insert in here whilst fitting halo and LED strips. So there's a couple of screws that hold the insert in, so it's a case to just take the insert out. Once the screws are out, it's held in place with a couple of holders. So there's like one at the front. Pop that out, one on this side, and then you should just be able to pop this out. What you might find is the glue around the edge does tend to catch it a little bit, so just be careful when you're pulling this out. Again, once you've worked out, there we go, it does just pop out. Just be careful. I've never smashed one yet, pulling them out. So again, just be careful when you're doing it. And that leaves you with the lens, which is there, the insert, which I'll paint, and then it's a case of just now clean everything up. And I will do the next video, next steps of painting the insert, fitting halos, fitting a LED strip, and I think on this one I'm doing demonize as well, which fits into the main headlight unit in here. So that'll be interesting, something that I've not done yet. And I will post the next one and hopefully you'll follow along. So remember, if you like it, click on like, click on subscribe, and to make sure you're updated with the next video. And I will look forward to doing that next time. Cheers all.